Hello and welcome. When we hear the term MLOps, our minds usually jump straight to tangled code, complex servers, and all that techie stuff. But today, we're going to flip that script. We're going to talk about the people, the actual humans who make it all happen. The creators, the builders, and the guardians who have to work together to bring machine learning out of the lab and into our lives. And let's just kick things off with this quote. Wow. It's kind of funny, but it's also painfully real, right? It perfectly captures that moment where you think you've crossed the finish line, only to find out the real bruising race has just begun. And believe me, that feeling is not just some one-off complaint from a single developer. Not at all. A recent survey found that a whopping 55% of companies that are actively trying to use machine learning have not deployed a single model into the real world. That is a staggering failure rate. So many projects just stuck in limbo. So, what is going on here? What's the core of the problem? Well, it's this. Building a model in a nice, clean, controlled lab environment, that's one thing. But making that same model work reliably, day in and day out, in the messy, unpredictable real world, that is a completely different ballgame. And there's this huge gap between the two that needs to be bridged. And this, right here, is where MLOps enters the scene. But let's not think of it as just another piece of software or a complicated process. No. Let's imagine MLOps as the conductor of a grand orchestra, whose entire job is to make sure every single musician is playing in perfect time and harmony. So at its heart, MLOps isn't really a thing you can buy. It's a practice. It's a culture. It's this unique meeting point where three totally different worlds collide. You've got the experimental, creative chaos of machine learning, the rock-solid operational discipline of DevOps, and the foundational, get-your-hands-dirty work of data engineering. And you can see this collaboration so clearly in this diagram. It's not a one-way street, right? Data engineering feeds clean data to the ML engineers. They build a model that powers an app. But then, and this is the magic part, the way that app performs in the real world creates feedback that flows all the way back to the beginning, making the next version of the model even better. It's a loop. So to really get this, let's meet the musicians in our orchestra. First up, the creators. These are the folks who write the original melody. They come up with the core idea that becomes the model. We're talking about our data scientists and our researchers. They live and breathe inside code notebooks, constantly asking, what if? They're exploring data, running tons of experiments, and building prototypes. Their focus is all about discovery. But that brilliant experimental code, it is a long way from being a product you can bet your business on. And man, do they have some serious challenges. Just imagine trying to manually label millions of medical images. You can't. You need time from super busy doctors. Or think about trying to keep track of 1,000 tiny little tweaks to an experiment to find the one that works best. It's a massive organizational headache. And this isn't just a problem for startups. This is a classic story. Even a powerhouse team at Airbnb got totally overwhelmed when they tried to roll out a super complex model for their search feature. It just kept failing. In the end, they had to throw out the complexity and radically simplify everything just to get a basic pipeline working. It's a huge lesson. Sometimes simple is the only way to start. All right, next up, let's meet the builders. So the creators wrote the melody. The builders are the section of the orchestra that takes that simple tune and builds a rich, powerful, and robust symphony around it. This is the world of ML engineers and software architects. Their central job, their entire focus, is solving a massive infrastructure puzzle. How in the world do you take that one-off, experimental piece of code from a data scientist's laptop and turn it into an industrial-strength service that can handle thousands of requests every second without even blinking? The ultimate dream, the holy grail for these builders, is to create a platform that does exactly what the team at Stitch Fix is talking about here. A world where data scientists can just focus on the what and why of a model, and they never ever have to worry about the messy how of deployment. The platform just handles it. And that brings us to our final group, the guardians. Now, these are the people who make sure our symphony isn't just technically brilliant, but that it actually connects with the audience and achieves its real purpose. This group is a mix. You've got your DevOps engineers, your business leaders, sometimes even lawyers and compliance officers. And their work really kicks into high gear right when everyone else thinks the job is done, the moment a model goes live. They're the ones asking that all-important question, okay, now what? And they are asking the really tough questions, the business-critical questions. Like, did this super expensive model we built actually move the needle on our revenue? The team at Booking.com famously learned that deploying 150 models didn't automatically mean more business value. The Guardians also worry about stuff like concept drift. That's when the real world slowly changes and your model becomes less accurate. And of course, making sure the whole system is secure and explainable. And as you can see, each of these Guardians needs something totally different. The data engineer needs to see the data plumbing to fix leaks. The software engineer needs automated tests so the ML part doesn't break the rest of the app. And the business leader? They need simple, clear reports that prove the model is actually working and compliant with regulations. Okay, so we have all these different people with all these different needs and worries. How does our conductor, MLOps, get this diverse orchestra to play a beautiful symphony together? The secret, the absolute key, is creating an automated, continuous pipeline. It all works in a clean, repeatable cycle. New data comes in, it gets checked for quality, it gets transformed into a format the model can understand. A brand new version of the model is trained on that fresh data. Then it's tested against the old one. Is it better? If the answer's yes, it gets saved and it's ready to go. It's this beautiful, continuous loop of improvement. And when you look at the whole pipeline laid out like this, you realize something. This isn't just a technical diagram. This is a map of collaboration. Every single box on here represents the hard work and expertise of the different people we've met, all perfectly orchestrated into one single automated flow. And that really is the single most important thing to take away from all of this. MLOps, when it's done right, isn't about replacing humans with fancy tools. It is about empowering those humans through tools so they can finally work together effectively. It succeeds when it smashes down the walls between the creators, the builders, and the guardians, letting each of them bring their A game to the final product. Which leaves us with one final big question to chew on. As these AI systems and pipelines become more and more autonomous, what's left for us? What becomes the uniquely human job in this orchestra of the future? Well, maybe, just maybe, it frees us up to focus on the things only we can do. True creativity, asking hard ethical questions, and deciding what value actually means in the first place. Thanks for joining us.